can be a first. There has to be a first speaker, middle, and a last speaker. So we just try to keep the balance. Thank you. Honorable Majority Leader, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues to thank the Standing Committee on Constitutional Matters and also thank them for the good work that they have done as assigned to them by the National Assembly. And I think these are trying times, and then they have really done a job that we expected from them. And I also want to continue to urge members of this National Assembly to respect the rules that we have set for ourselves. I think yesterday when a suggestion was made for us to commit it to a relevant committee, there was some misunderstanding or some people did not want that issue to happen. But I think it's important that we respect the laws that we have set for ourselves. That will be our guiding principle, and it's going to help us to better understand the situations that we are dealing with, and we can make informed choices, which is going to help our electorates and the people that we are serving here. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Clerk and his team through you for the initiative that they have taken to facilitate the movement of all the National Assembly members, including the nominated members, to visit their constituencies and also talk to the people about this deadly virus, which has given the signal to the Gambian people to understand the repercussions of not adhering to the standards that are set by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the WHO. I think that is commendable. And we also are in the forefront. The National Assembly has set the space, being one of the first institutions to scale down activities in the National Assembly to adhere to the social distancing program where staff were asked to sit down home. We've done that 2 weeks before other institutions follow suit. So this shows the commitment and also the willingness of the National Assembly to work together with all the partners in this country to ensure that we work towards the development of our people to serve the best interests as enshrined in Section 112 of the National Constitution. Honorable Speaker, I think the committee had really done a very good job, and we applaud them for coming out with very key, clear statements and recommendations for the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs and the Attorney General and all the other key line ministries, especially the Ministry of Trade, because these regulations that are being passed hinges on the lives of the various people, the livelihoods of the rural people, the most marginalized members of our societies. And it is important that the interpretation and also the dissemination of this information are very clear and very timely. So these regulations that are passed, and I want to join my colleagues again to urge the Ministry of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to collaborate with other ministries, departments, and agencies so that these information are disseminated to the people on a timely basis. And that's the only way we will be able to situate ourselves and get the messages very clear to our people so that they understand what we need to do as a nation. I have gone through all the regulations, and some of them, especially the Essential Commodities Emergency Powers Regulation. I've seen that a committee was established which comprises of Permanent Secretaries, Director General of the NIA, the Director General of State Intelligence, the Inspector General of Police, the Commissioner General Gambia Revenue Authority, the Chief Executive of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Executive Secretary of the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and then the President of the Consumer Protection Consortium of the Gambia. But I also want to propose that we have a representative of the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare. This is dealing with the social being of the Gambian population. So their participation in this thing, and if you look at the composition, the women that are involved in fish processing and marketing, the women that are involved in petty trading, the women that are involved in horticultural development. So their involvement in this committee is very key because they are going to work with the vulnerable members, and they will be able to disseminate this information. And I think that is also very key. And one other sector that I have also mentioned when the Minister of Information, the Minister of Health was here the first time to give us the situational analysis, I've appealed to the Minister to also incorporate the civil society organizations. They are playing a very important role in this country, and they are very key, and they have experts that can do situational analysis and that can do vulnerable assessments with other peoples, and they have worked with all sectors of life in this country. So their involvement, their participation in this committee will also be very key. Honorable Speaker, and I also want to come back to the issue of empowering our institutions. We have the National Disaster Management Agency. By now, the National Disaster Management Agency should be able to come out with a vulnerable assessment in the country, and they can only do that with GBOS. And I have been saying this thing, the important role that GBOS can play in ensuring that surveys are conducted where we can have very good reports that will give us informed choices and be able to have the data. Without the data, it is going to be very difficult. How many small holders' livelihoods are going to be interrupted in this emergency? What are some of the impacts that people are going to face? How do we provide incentives for them, social safety networks, so that they are comfortable at their homes and be able to get to their people and help them to be able to be steady in whatever they are doing, so that they comply to the emergency. Until that is done, we are not going to go anywhere. So I think it is very important that we also use our agencies and departments and build their capacities. The last time I saw a press release from the NDMA saying that it is illegal for people to hike. What is the premises? You do not even tell the Gambian people what your act is. People don't even know your existence. How can you come out with a statement and tell people what you are doing is illegal? And they don't even know your existence. So I think it is important that we build the capacity of our institutions and let them play their rightful role, so that people will know when it comes and how can they save them and be able to help them in all these issues. They cannot just be going to bantabas and communities to say that we have buckets and all these things. They need to be able to come up with information and data that will enable us and help the people, so that we are better situated and be able to protect us in all these things. And coming over next to all these things, and I think it is important for us as members of the National Assembly, as we are doing, we also need to, as a country, adhere to some of the statements that are done at the international level, and especially the WHO, that is the World Health Organization. The Director General of the World Health Organization is an African, and he's been appealing to African leaders to adhere to the information and also the advices that is coming from the WHO. It is very important. Just 2 days ago, he was speaking, and he urged, the WHO director had called on governments in Africa to put in place social welfare measures to ensure vulnerable members have food and other essential commodities on table, so that they will not be affected in case of any emergency. And I think this is very important. And this is some of the things that the members are saying. What plans are there in place for the government to prepare for the ordinary people, so that if you are telling them to stay, if they don't have the food, how will they stay on? And he went further also, WHO's priority is that frontline health workers are able to access essential personal protective equipment, including medical masks and other respiratory gadgets that they need for their work. And all of us here, those who have spoken since the laying of the report, have commended the tremendous time and energy that our health workers have taken to ensure that these messages get to the people. They have been working round the clock and ensuring that the people are not contracted, and this virus is deadly. So it is important that we provide them with those specific and needed equipments that are needed to enable them to do their work and ensure that we as Gambian, as a nation, this deadly virus is contained. And I think it is very important for us as a nation to, as alluded to by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Jarol, when the Ebola crisis was done, there was a swift response from the government that they closed all the borders to ensure that this deadly virus does not come into the country. And Gambia is one of the countries in West Africa that had worked around the clock 24 hours to make sure that Ebola does not get to this country. For 2 weeks after our deliberation in this National Assembly, it took the government 2 weeks to close our borders. And all these cases that we have were imported. They were not from people who were resident in this country. So as a nation, and I think it is important, whatever we are doing, we must make sure that we work together with our partners. We should not be duplicating efforts, and we should open our arms and also take the directives so that the benefits of our people are there at all times. Honorable Speaker, I also want to appeal to the Minister of Interior and Defense to write to the transport controller at State House to decongest the State House and release all those vehicles and give it to the security to work 24 hours round the clock to ensure that our borders are safe. Until we do that, we need to take the bull by the horn. What are those vehicles doing there? People are not going to work. The vehicles are there. The security personnel are saying that we don't have the mobility to do our work. Let's decongest the State House. Let's decongest all the departments and give the vehicle to the security people to do this work if we are going to be serious to protect our people. The Gambia is at crossroads at this trying time. It is important for all of us to take the responsibility and make sure that our people are safe. Donald Trump is saying that at the peak of this thing in 2 weeks' time, America is expecting over 240 people to die if it is not contained in America. 240,000 people are going to die. Gambia, as small as it is, we do not have all the resources that we need to contain this disease. So I think it is important for us to be very serious and very committed and make sure that we follow the standards and procedures to ensure that our people are protected. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I also want the Minister of Finance to tell us, with the reduction of fuel prices for about almost 50%, why is government not reducing the pump price of fuel? $1 what is $1? Some countries have reduced it by $21, $2, and you still want people to buy fuel at $49, and you are telling the drivers to reduce the number of passengers in their vehicles by half? What are they going to do? People are traveling from Basse, they are charging them $200, $500 to come to Banjul, or else you stay there because they cannot buy fuel $5,000 and you only have $2,000. It is not economical. So what are the incentives? What is government trying to do to ensure that fuel pump prices are reduced so that all these things are done to be able to help the transporters and help them to enable people to move and ensure that all these rules are followed? Finally, Honorable Speaker, I think these rules have to be adhered to, and enforceability is also very important. When we put in laws, we must make sure that these committees meet very frequently and work with the National Assembly members and all the other institutions, frontlines that are on the ground. And I also want to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank the Gambia Red Cross Society for all the good work that they have done. They have dispatched their people in all the regions in this country, and they are working 24 hours to make sure that the young people are sensitizing the people to use these hard-working mechanisms and also ensure that we have the social distancing. Thank you very much.